So we did it. We finally got our big Lebowski pinball machine. When we ordered this, we ordered it from a company, CoinTaker, down in the States. And they said they can ship it to us, but we have to deal with the brokerage and getting it into Canada and doing all of that. So I called around a couple of brokerage firms, and they all quoted me, I think the cheapest quote that I got was about $800 to handle the brokerage for us. So we thought, well, we could probably do this ourselves. So I'm not the best YouTuber when it comes to like taking video and doing all of that of our adventures. So I'm going to tell you the story. We took a little bit of video, but I'll tell you the story and I'll sort of add some things here and there to show you visually what's going on. I'll do my best. I probably brought 30 or more machines over the border from the States, and it was always really straightforward. We declare it at the border, we show our invoice or receipt or whatever, we pay our duties, and we're on our way. Easy peasy. So we figured, why not have it delivered to a location in Maine, pick it up ourselves, and do the same thing, and just save on the brokerage fees. So, easy. Plus, I'd never been to Maine. The easiest drive to Maine from here is a town called Calais, I think it's pronounced. And I found a location in Calais called Package Depot, and it's about 4 minutes from the border on the US side. Mike, the owner, is a super nice guy, really helpful, no problem. I talked to him. We can have it delivered there. So we get things set up, and the machine arrives at Package Depot on the 22nd without issue, no damage, no whatever. Great. The plan was to leave early on Monday, drive over, grab the machine, cross the border, pay whatever duties, drive to our storage facility, drop off the machine, and be back home in time for a call that Sophia had at 10 p.m. The drive from the arcade to the border is a little over 4 hours. So to split the time driving, Sophia's driving over, and then I was going to drive back at night. We leave early on Monday, and the drive over was pretty uneventful. It was clear roads, good weather, whatever. Hi.
Hello.
Where are we going? Maine.
Maine.
What for?
I think it's a pinball machine.
Oh. We're getting a pinball machine today.
My nose is running right now. I'm really trying not to wipe it. Can you please stop? And get me a paper towel.
We make a pit stop for washrooms and a snack in a place called Sussex, New Brunswick. And that's where we ran into these cow things, and I couldn't stop laughing. Daisy and Buttercut's home. I saw these coming in, and they're fabulous. So we're going to we're taking a little break, little pit stop, and we're going to have a look at Daisy and Buttercup. Thank you for visiting. Sussex, New Brunswick.
We're told this is Cowtown.
Cowtown.
We're so happy.
All right, pose with Daisy and Buttercup. All right. Icy. All right, back on the road. All right, so we stopped at I think it was a Circle K. Looks like a Circle K. And we just both had a ranchero steak and cheese tornado.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. Possibly a mistake. We'll see. So we eat our pseudo tacos, and they're curious, to say the least. And the first bite, I know this is a bad idea, but I ate mine anyway. We get to St. Stephen, which is a town on the Canadian side of the border. And Sophia doesn't want to drive over the border, so we stop, fill up with gas, and I hop into the driver's seat. When she goes to stop at the gas station, there's this horrible grinding sound coming from the rear passenger side tire. So it sounds like our brakes are going. We're 4 hours from home. Of course they're going, right? We've had this happen before, and since it's just on a single rear tire, I figure it's fine. We'll just keep going. We'll just be careful. As long as the caliper doesn't lock up, we should be fine. It'll just be kind of noisy and stressful. We get to the U.S. border, and the guard there is just a piece of work. He's doing the whole, I'm an authority and you're up to no good, and by treating you like a criminal, you'll break and I'll interrogate you, and or something, right? He asks the usual questions, but then it just gets weird. So the border guard, Inspector Grumpy Pants, he does that sort of interrogation technique where you say something and then you just stare at someone, just intently stare at someone, and people aren't used to sort of that dead silence, and so then they start talking more and more and more. So I know what they're doing, and I just sit and smile. So the conversation kind of went. We'll do a reenactment. Here's how the conversation went. Where do you live? Prince Edward Island. What's the reason for your visit? We bought a pinball machine, so we're just going to Package Depot to pick it up. What's the name of the shipping place? It's Package Depot. They're about 5 minutes down the road there. What's the value of the pinball machine? 13,000 US. You paid $13,000 for a pinball machine? Yes. Is this a commercial machine? Well, it's a personal purchase. I personally bought the machine, but it is going into our arcade, and the business doesn't own the machine. So you're telling me you paid $13,000 for a personal pinball machine? Yes. Go ahead. Great. Have a nice day. Now, I've crossed the US and Canadian border a lot, and I know border guards on both sides have a bit of a tough go at things. People are probably always lying to them about the value of things they're bringing back, what they have in the car. There's people crossing who shouldn't be. There's this whole country security thing going on. I get it, right? I get that they're the way that they are sometimes. And sometimes they're nice, and sometimes they're a little gruff. And sometimes they're like this guy, Inspector Grumpy Pants. And I found U.S. guards to be more like this than the Canadians, but whatever, that's fine, right? I always try to be as straightforward as I can with them. I try to have all my needed paperwork. I let them direct the conversation. They ask me questions. I give them quick answers. I don't go into detail, whatever. And that seems to work the best. And, but Inspector Grumpy Pants wasn't having any of that. So anyway, so we drive away. And we get to Package Depot, and we have a fun chat with the people there, and chat with Mike, and we load up the machine, head out, everything's great. And at this point, we're ahead of schedule. So we decide to stop at a few stores and stock up on some American products, get some American soft drinks and a few other little odds and ends. About 30 minutes later, I put Charlottetown in the GPS, and we're heading back. So the route that GPS finds us takes us to a border crossing, but it's not quite the same one we came over at. And we're looking at going, we're coming at it from the opposite way, but this doesn't look right. And it isn't. It's a totally different one. And it's a little tiny one. There's just like one little doghouse and one lane to go into Canada. We figure whatever, a border crossing is a crossing, right? So we chat with the Canadian guard, and he's nice enough, and we go through the regular questions, and then we get to the topic of the pinball machine. And he asks, is it personal or commercial? And I said, well, I'm personally buying it, but it will be in my arcade. And he sort of like almost like sighs, like he seems a little bummed out by what he has to tell us. He's like, sorry, you guys have to go back through and you have to go over to the commercial crossing, which is just down the street. And he gives us directions for this third crossing that's about 4 minutes from where we're at. So I'm like, great, now we have to turn around and we have to go through the American side again for the second time. So we turn around, we go back over the bridge. But the U.S. guard here, she was awesome. We explained what the deal was, and she actually showed us a map of where to go. And she was perfectly pleasant, with lots of smiles, very helpful, great woman. And we slowly pull away with our brake shoe dragging a little bit in the back. And off we go to the third Canadian crossing. So we get there, and we're instructed to go through the commercial side, where the big trucks go. So we pull up, and of course the window that the guard sits at is like 4 feet above our car, because he's used to talking to people in big semi trucks, right? So we go through the questions, the same process. He was actually really, really nice. He says, pull around to the inspection and then go inside and take all your paperwork inside there. So we go inside and we meet Miss Orr, and I honestly don't know if they're referred to as officer, if the guards are officers or constables or whatever. So I'm just going to call her from here on out. I'm going to call her Miss Orr. So we first walk in, and at first she's a little bit gruff, as some guards are. And we talk about the situation, and she explains that we have to have an import number. We have to import this because this is a business thing. The import number is based off the business number. Now, I've never had to deal with any of this before, because I've always just pulled them across the border on a personal thing. So this is completely different than what I'm used to. I just expected it to be, we show the invoice, we fill out some paperwork, we pay the duty, we're on our way. But it's not. This is a proper commercial importation, and we're terribly, horribly unprepared for this. And I'm feeling stupid and naive because this isn't what I expected at all. I'm just feeling like a dum-dum at this point. Ms. Orr says that if we can't get all of our paperwork in order, and they can't really help us with it because that's not what they do, but she says if we can't get it in order, we can keep it there. We can store it at the border, and we can come back later with whatever paperwork we need. So at this point, here's the situation. It's about 4:15 p.m. We're running a little bit behind schedule. We have a car with bad brakes. It's starting to rain. We have to get Sophia on a plane to BC in 3 days, so that limits what we can do together coming back and forth and getting the car fixed and all of that. I'm pretty much convinced we're not going to be able to get the machine through today at this point. I'm going to have to drive back. We'll get the brakes fixed. We'll get her on the plane, and then I'm driving back to the border probably the following Monday, if we can get all the paperwork sorted and everything. And on top of that, I have this pseudo taquito thing that I ate in Sussex that's rearing its ugly head in my gullet. So I'm not feeling, great. So Ms. Orr says we can call CRA and they can assign us the import number over the phone. We just need our business number. And I didn't expect to need the business number, so I didn't have it with me. So Sophia and I, we started digging through our phones, looking through emails, trying to find this number. And we couldn't find it. But I'm like, oh, well, we can call the accountant and maybe we can get it from them. So we called them and a little back and forth. And we finally get the number from our accountant. So Sophia gets on the phone with CRA and the message says hold time could be 60 to 90 minutes. So we're like, oh, okay, great. And I'm not feeling great about this because CRA usually verifies you by asking like what a particular amount was online, whatever, of your last tax return. And we didn't have any of that nonsense. So I don't know if they can verify us. I don't even know if we can get the number over the phone with them, but we figure we'll try. She's on hold with CRA and we're chatting with Miss Orr and this other guard that had come up to the desk too. And we're joking about what's going on and that we went to the wrong crossings and all the other stuff going on that day. We're both clearly frustrated, but we're owning this as our problem and we're not blaming it on them or anything, which I think happens a lot with border guards because I've been in paying duty and I've seen people in front of me really giving the guards a bad time because they don't want to pay duty. But I didn't want to give them that impression that I was blaming them. This was our fault. So we're owning it. And I think Miss Orr is kind of warming up to us a little bit, and she's helping us more than probably she normally does. And I ask her, if we can't get our documents, can we take the machine back to Package Depot instead of leaving it there? Because I think it might be a little bit better being there than at the border, and it could probably stay at Package Depot indefinitely, but I know if it's at the border, you have limited time and all that. And she's like, oh yeah, of course. We'll just give you a document and you hand that to the U.S. Guards when you go back over. And I'm like, oh, back over again. So they give us this document that just says why we're returning and what we're doing. And we should just be able to pass right through. So that's great. So I'm telling Sophia that that's probably where we're at this point. And I'm fine driving it back later, like next Monday on my own. And so I'm expecting that this is what's going to happen. So I call Package Depot and I talk to Mike and I ask him if we could store it there, and he's perfectly fine with that. He says we're going to be there until about 5:30. If it's going to be later, just call us. They'll hang around and wait for us or whatever. So that was awesome. And Miss Orr then says, you know, there's a broker just across the parking lot, and then there's another one down the street. If you can get your import number, they can probably sort this all out for you now. You'll pay them the duties. They'll give you this sheet with barcodes on it. Bring that back and you can go. You'll be all set. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm willing to pay $800 for whatever the broker fees are just to be done with this nonsense. I just want to be on my way, right? And so I tell Sophia, I'm going to go talk with the broker across the street. We'll see what they say. And she's still on hold with the CRA. So I go across the lot, and it's AE Horn and Son Limited is the name of the brokerage. And I believe her name was Mary Kay. She was at the counter. I explained the situation to her, and she says, oh, sure, no problem. We can do this. If you have your business number, there's a special number for brokers that we can call for the CRA, and we can get your import number pretty quickly. So I run back over, and I didn't have the number with me. So I run back over, and I tell Sophia, and I take a picture of the piece of paper that we have this information on, and go back over. Mary starts the paperwork, and a few minutes later, Sophia comes in with our import number. She managed to get a hold of someone and got it. So it's about 5:30 p.m. now. We're almost done. I call Mike back, and I said, we've got it all sorted. Thank you so much for being there for us, whatever. And they're awesome. So if you ever need to deal with this, I'll leave a link to them in the description. It's Package Depot, and they're in Maine. Use them. They're awesome. End of the day, how much was it? So I had fully expected to pay 15% duty and then the brokerage fees of, whatever it was. So I expected this whole thing was going to be like maybe $2,000, $2,500. It came to just over $1,000. We only had to pay 7% GST on it, and brokerage fees was only about $180. And part of that was this $25 sign up admin type fee thing. So we won't have to pay this if we use them again. And then the best part is we now have a broker that we can use, and they're great. They're reasonable rates, really nice people, super quick. They're a nice company to have in your pocket when you need them. So if we do this again, I'm calling AE Horn and Son Limited. So we thank Mary for saving our butts, and I go back to Miss Orr, and I walk in the door with a stupid smile on my face, and I'm wiggling this paper in front of me with the barcodes on it that they need. And she was honestly really happy for us. She got this huge smile on her face, and you could tell that she was just kind of relieved that we managed to pull it off. It was kind of cool, actually. So we pay a few extra bucks for our extra grocery items, and we're on our way. And it's about 6 p.m. now. As we're driving back, the brake pad seemed to slip back into position, and it didn't angrily grind away. You could still hear it kind of grumbling a little bit, but it was fine for the rest of the day. We get to the storage unit right around the time that Sophia has to make her call. So she's on her call, I'm unloading the stuff, and then we get everything all settled in, and we're heading home. And out of nowhere, I hit a skunk. And I feel horrible because I have a soft spot for skunks. I really like them, even though they're a little stinky. But I just feel terrible for running over him. And And then, of course, we take the van in to the mechanic the next day, and I'm apologizing about the extra smell they have to deal with the car. He makes some joke that, oh, well, you know, if anybody smells it, they're just going to think we're smoking weed anyway. When we went to pick up the car, I actually apologized again. And he said, well, to make the matters worse, the septic truck pulls up at the same time that they've got our car in there. So they've got these two smells that they had to contend with. Yep. So that was our adventure. At the end of the day, it all worked out fine, except for the poor skunk. I guess the best thing is that we ended up with a good brokerage that we could use in the future, and we got a hell of a story out of it. So anyway, we'll have it in the arcade on Friday, this coming Friday, and we're gonna have a little special party for it and everything. I'll announce everything on social media, and yeah, so finally here. All right, thanks for watching.